My beloved ones, there is something far more powerful than your words. It's not your appearance, not your voice, not even your resume of achievements. It's the energy you carry when you walk into the room. The aura you walk in with. There is something deeply unspoken yet powerfully undeniable about the energy that surrounds a person. It goes before them, speaks louder than their voice, and lingers longer than their presence. This invisible field of presence, often felt more than seen, sets the tone of every interaction and every space one enters. That is why the energy you bring into a room, into a conversation, into a moment, is the true signature of who you are. Before you have the chance to form a sentence, the atmosphere has already adjusted to the essence of your being. People may not always understand it consciously, but they feel it, they react to it. They either lean in with curiosity or shrink back with caution. That's the silent language of your aura, constantly communicating with the world around you. In a world obsessed with speaking louder and making impressions through noise, few understand the quiet power of presence. It is the spirit behind the smile, the calm behind the chaos, the stillness in the eyes, and the peace in the posture. Some people walk into a room and demand attention with volume and appearance, while others enter with such a quiet force that hearts pause and silence follows them. It is not charisma, it is not charm, it is alignment, the kind of alignment that only comes from inner clarity, spiritual groundedness, and emotional purity. Those who have done the inner work shine differently. They do not need to sell themselves, they simply show up and their energy speaks on their behalf. There is a truth that you cannot pretend peace, you cannot fake wholeness, you cannot wear stillness like a costume. People may not articulate what they sense, but their spirit knows. There are those who smile but feel heavy, those who talk but leave others drained, and those who say little yet leave others changed. The difference is not in vocabulary or volume, but in energy. Your energy introduces you before your words ever do, and if your energy is not clean, not aligned, not healed, then your words will carry little weight, no matter how eloquent they may be. That's why it is not enough to know what to say. You must first know who you are when you walk in. The words will follow the truth that lives inside you. Your energy is built in the moments no one sees. It's formed in silence, shaped in storms, and polished in private. The person who walks in with light has likely been through dark. They have chosen forgiveness when bitterness was easier. They have chosen stillness when chaos was tempting. They have said no to things that could have fed the ego to protect the soul, and because of that, their very presence holds weight. It carries the unseen victories of 1,000 inner battles. That is why some people feel safe before they even speak. Their energy tells the room, this is someone who is anchored, who is not trying to impress, who has nothing to prove. There is no performance, there is only presence. To cultivate this kind of energy, you must return to yourself again and again. You must sit with your thoughts, face your pain, and clear out the noise. You must forgive deeply, release expectations, and let go of roles that suffocate your spirit. You must trust in the silence and know that the world responds more to what you are than what you say. When you walk in full awareness of your own spirit, fully aligned and whole, your energy becomes your loudest voice. You carry peace like a banner, strength like a quiet drumbeat. You shift the room not with your entrance, but with your being. True presence is not loud, flashy, or desperate for attention. It doesn't rely on grand entrances, rehearsed lines, or exaggerated gestures. It doesn't need to be decorated in flamboyance or fueled by applause. Presence, when it is real, is a calm, centered force that speaks without needing words. It is the quiet strength of someone who knows who they are without needing to convince anyone else. It is the peaceful confidence of someone who has walked through fire, yet carries no smoke. It is the invisible gravity that draws others near, not because of effort, but because of authenticity. In a world full of noise and performance, true presence stands out not by shouting, but by simply being. There is a difference between performance and power. Performance is built on impressions. Power is rooted in essence. Performance needs eyes to function, applause to survive, and approval to breathe. Power, on the other hand, is sustained in silence. It exists whether or not anyone is watching. It shows up the same in an empty room as it does on a stage. Those who carry true presence are not looking to be seen. They are simply showing up as they are. Their power comes not from their volume, but from their alignment. They are in tune with who they are, grounded in what matters, and detached from the need for validation. The world has trained many to believe that louder means stronger, that confidence must be displayed through dominance, and that success is proven through visibility. But the deepest kind of strength is often hidden in stillness. The strongest individuals are not always the most vocal, they are the most rooted. They do not seek to dominate a space. They settle into it with quiet certainty. When they speak, people listen, not because they are loud, but because their words carry weight. That weight does not come from title or position, but from the purity of their energy and the truth behind their eyes. True presence whispers and the room listens. Some people enter a space and immediately try to own it with force, filling the atmosphere with their personality. Others walk in and simply allow their presence to do the work. One disrupts, the other aligns. The difference lies in the depth of inner peace. When a person is truly at peace, they don't strive for control. They don't try to take from the room. They give to it by being whole. Their energy is not grabbing, it's offering. It's not anxious, it's aware. Presence is not about power over others. It's about power within yourself. It's not about shining above others. It's about radiating from within. The quiet ones, the grounded ones, the ones who move through life without needing to broadcast their worth. Those are often the ones carrying the deepest wells of presence. Their silence is not emptiness, it is full of wisdom. Their stillness is not absence, it is full of power. They may speak softly, but their presence echoes. They may not stand in the spotlight, but the light within them is undeniable. This kind of presence cannot be manufactured. It cannot be taught by techniques or mimicked through imitation. It is the result of self-awareness, inner healing, and spiritual alignment. To walk in true presence is to embody stillness in a storm, peace in a crowd, and clarity in confusion. It is to stand firm in your truth without weaponizing it, to share your essence without controlling the outcome. When you carry this kind of presence, the world doesn't just see you, they feel you, not because you demanded attention, but because your energy offered something real. Your presence becomes a sanctuary, a mirror, a compass. It doesn't entertain, it transforms. It doesn't shout, it resonates. It doesn't perform, it awakens. Your aura is shaped in solitude, not on stages. It is forged in the quiet places where there is no spotlight, no audience, no applause to chase. It is in the stillness of your own presence that you meet the real parts of yourself. The ones that don't need to impress, that don't wear masks, that don't pretend to be unbothered. It is in solitude that you confront what's been avoided, what's been hidden, and what's been wounded. And in those sacred moments of silence, something deeper than performance begins to grow. The truth of who you are begins to surface without effort or design, and your energy starts to carry a new kind of frequency, one not built by applause, but by authenticity. The world will often tempt you to prove yourself publicly before you've even met yourself privately. But the deepest strength does not grow in front of people. It grows in the unseen battles, in the unspoken prayers, in the quiet tears that fall when no one is there to wipe them. The ones who walk in true power are not those who have conquered stages, but those who have conquered themselves. They have faced the mirror when it showed them parts they didn't want to see. They've held space for their own shadows without turning away, and through that process, they've become carriers of a presence that needs no announcement. Their aura does the speaking, their energy does the explaining. Solitude is not isolation, it's communion with the self. It's where the noise of the world fades just enough for your inner voice to be heard again. It's where clarity returns and alignment is restored. Many try to avoid it because it feels empty at first, unfamiliar and uncomfortable. But the ones who dare to stay, who choose to sit with the silence instead of running from it, find a kind of fullness that nothing external can give. They emerge with an aura that speaks of peace, of wholeness, of quiet authority, not because they've never been broken, but because they've allowed themselves to be healed. You don't shape your presence in the presence of others. You shape it when you are alone with your thoughts, with your soul, with your source. That's where the false selves begin to fall away, the ones built on fear, on approval, on competition. That's where you begin to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. And the more time you spend in that solitude, the more your energy begins to align with something unshakable. Not everyone will understand it, but everyone will feel it, because your aura becomes a reflection of your truth, not your title. When you step into a room, the energy you carry tells a story. That story is not written on paper. It's written in every moment you chose presence over pretending, peace over panic, integrity over image. It's written in the discipline of self-reflection, in the surrender of control, in the resilience built through seasons of waiting and uncertainty. Those who carry something sacred have often walked through sacred silence. They have tasted loneliness not as punishment, but as preparation, and because of that, their aura carries weight that cannot be explained, only experienced. You don't need a platform to develop power. You need space to remember it. You don't need a crowd to validate your worth. You need solitude to recognize it. The most magnetic people are not those who try to be everything to everyone. They are those who have become fully themselves, quietly, intentionally, and without performance. Their presence becomes their platform, their stillness becomes their voice, their energy becomes their influence, and all of that is shaped not when others are watching, but when the only witness is the silence itself. People feel your spirit before they understand your story. Before they know your name, your past, your title, or your pain, they experience the energy you bring into a space. It's not about physical appearance or the words you choose, it's about the frequency you emit. There's an unspoken language that the soul speaks, and everyone feels it whether they acknowledge it or not. It happens in an instant, sometimes even subconsciously. A sense of safety, peace, tension, or restlessness enters with you. The room shifts before you introduce yourself, and people begin to draw conclusions not from facts, but from how their spirit responds to yours. This is why some people are instantly magnetic without even trying. They don't need to prove anything. Their spirit is light, authentic, and open. Others may carry heaviness, judgment, fear, or unprocessed pain, and even when they try to mask it with smiles or charm, something feels off. That's the invisible force at work, your spirit translating what words cannot say. You can't fake spiritual energy, you can't rehearse inner peace, you can't hide what your soul hasn't healed. People don't need to know the chapters of your journey to recognize what you carry. They can feel it in your silence, in your gaze, in your body language, in your tone, and in the way you exist without effort. We live in a world where many spend their energy constructing images, perfecting narratives, and editing perceptions. But none of that can override the energy that moves ahead of you. People may be impressed by what you show them, but they are impacted by what you carry. Your spirit will always reveal your truth. It will reflect your inner alignment, your unresolved wounds, your deepest beliefs, and your capacity for love, even when your mouth says something else. This is why two people can speak the same words, and only one will be heard with the heart. One is performing, the other is transmitting something real. There are individuals who walk into a space and immediately calm the environment, not because they have said anything profound, but because their presence brings peace. Others bring anxiety, chaos or ego. These patterns are not random. They are the result of inner realities projected outward. When your spirit is aligned with truth, grace, and love, you don't have to say much. People will remember how they felt around you. They may not recall your words, but they will remember your presence. They will remember if their spirit could breathe near you, or if it felt suffocated. That is the power of spiritual energy, always speaking, always signaling, always influencing. The most beautiful part of this truth is that your story, no matter how painful or broken it has been, can be transformed into a spirit that heals others. When you have faced your own darkness and come out with compassion instead of bitterness, your spirit becomes medicine. When you have forgiven deeply, released anger, and chosen grace, people feel it in your energy. They don't need to know what you've been through. They only know they feel safe with you, seen by you, held in your presence even without physical touch. That is the essence of spiritual influence, not based on titles or achievements, but on how much of your own pain you've allowed to become wisdom. You can spend your whole life trying to explain yourself, to be understood, to be liked, or you can focus on becoming someone whose energy does the explaining. People won't need a biography, they'll know. They'll sense the work you've done, they'll feel the healing you carry, they'll experience the strength behind your silence and the softness behind your strength. Your spirit will speak to theirs in a way no words ever could. That's the kind of power that never fades, that never needs to be defended, that touches lives without trying. Authenticity builds an aura that can't be faked. It is not polished by performance or sharpened by rehearsed charm. It is not crafted through imitation or gained through borrowed language. Authenticity is raw. It is rooted in honesty, even when that honesty is messy. It grows in people who have let go of the need to appear perfect and have embraced the truth of who they are without apology. When someone walks in authenticity, their energy speaks with clarity. There's no confusion, no contradiction, no pretense. What you see is who they are, and what they carry is real. That energy is rare in a world built on curated images, but it is the only kind of energy that truly lasts. People are drawn to what feels real, even if they don't understand why. The world is saturated with performance and illusion. People projecting the life they want others to believe they have, but underneath the surface, something feels hollow, disconnected. Authenticity, on the other hand, carries depth. It carries presence. It creates space for others to be real, too. When you meet someone living in their truth, it's like finding oxygen in a suffocating room. Their aura doesn't try to convince, it simply invites. It doesn't need to shine brighter than anyone else. It just needs to shine as itself. The most authentic people are often those who have stopped competing. They're not in a race to prove anything because they've already made peace with who they are. Their confidence doesn't scream, it rests. Their self-worth isn't based on applause but on alignment, and because of that, the aura they walk in with carries weight. Not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that holds space. You can feel when someone has done the work to know themselves. You can feel it in how they listen, how they speak, how they show up. They aren't performing, they're present. Authenticity comes from choosing honesty over image. It means telling the truth when it would be easier to pretend. It means showing up as yourself even when it's vulnerable. It means letting go of roles that no longer fit and being willing to be misunderstood if that's what it takes to be whole. That kind of courage shapes your energy in a way no amount of success can replicate. It softens you without weakening you. It strengthens you without hardening you. It grounds you so deeply that nothing external can shake your sense of self. The people who carry authentic auras often speak less but say more. Their energy feels safe, not because they've mastered perfection, but because they've accepted their imperfections. There's no hidden agenda behind their actions. They don't manipulate with kindness or mask truth with flattery. They simply are who they are, and that clarity brings freedom. It gives permission to others to take off their masks too. In that space, real connection happens, real transformation begins, real influence takes root, not through control or performance, but through presence and example. You can't build authenticity overnight. It comes through years of unlearning, of healing, of peeling away the layers of who you thought you had to be. It comes through losses that stripped you of ego and victories that didn't change your soul. It comes through solitude, honesty, and surrender, and in time, that inner work forms an aura around you, one that doesn't change based on who's watching, one that walks into any space with the same truth, the same peace, the same strength. That kind of energy can't be copied, it can't be bought, it can only be lived. And once it's lived, it becomes the most powerful thing you carry wherever you go. Your aura is your legacy before your actions even begin. Long before you make a decision, deliver a message, or take a stand, people have already encountered who you are through the energy you carry. It's not about what you plan to do, it's about what you already bring into the room. Your presence, your posture, your peace, all of it speaks on your behalf. People may forget what you say, but they rarely forget how they felt when you entered their space. That feeling, that shift, is your true introduction. It's the silent legacy being written with every encounter, long before the visible legacy takes form. You don't have to wait for a title, a platform, or an accomplishment to start building your legacy. Your aura is already doing that every single day. It builds itself through your choices, your tone, your reactions, your silence, your stillness. It is formed in how you carry yourself, how you look at others, how you listen without interrupting, how you speak without wounding. Every interaction becomes a canvas for your energy to paint something that stays behind even after you leave. It becomes the echo that lingers in the room, the warmth or weight people feel when they recall you. That is the legacy of spirit, one that goes before deeds and remains long after words. Some people believe legacy is about achievements, but the deepest legacies are about impact, not the kind of impact you can measure in numbers, but the kind that lives in memory and emotion. It's the quiet impression your presence leaves, the unspoken lessons your life teaches, the way your energy comforts, challenges, or uplifts. The aura you carry is already shaping how people will remember you. Whether it brings light or confusion, peace or pressure, trust or fear, depends entirely on the internal world you've cultivated. You're writing your story in every moment of presence, not just in milestone events. The most powerful legacies aren't built in speeches or spotlight moments. They're built in consistency, in how you show up when no one is watching, in how you treat those who can offer you nothing, in how you carry yourself on ordinary days. When your aura aligns with your values, your legacy begins to take form naturally. People begin to feel safe around you because your energy doesn't shift with the winds. They begin to trust your presence even before they understand your position. That's a different level of influence, one that can't be staged. You might never know the full extent of your energetic legacy. Someone might find peace in your silence and never tell you. Someone might remember your kindness in a moment when you were struggling too. Someone might make a life-changing decision just because your presence reminded them of who they are. This is how powerful aura becomes when it's built on authenticity, clarity, and love. It moves ahead of you, stays behind you, and becomes the silent messenger of your truth. And unlike material legacy, this kind can't be stolen, copied, or lost. It's lived and therefore it's real. There are people who change the entire emotional temperature of a space by simply entering it. They don't try, they just are. Their energy speaks calm, their spirit holds space. That's what happens when you've taken responsibility for your own presence. You begin to understand that everything you bring into the room, your mood, your focus, your integrity, is a part of your offering to the world. Not just what you do, but how you are. That becomes your silent reputation, your unseen testimony, your lasting impression. Long before you're remembered for your accomplishments, you're remembered for your energy. That's the legacy your aura begins to build, one encounter, one breath, one moment at a time. When all is said and done, it's not your title, your talent, or even your triumphs that people will remember most. It's how they felt in your presence. Long after words fade and accomplishments are forgotten, your aura remains etched in the hearts you've touched. So cultivate an energy that brings peace, that lifts the atmosphere, that carries grace in the quiet and strength in the storm. Let your presence speak louder than your voice, and your spirit shine brighter than any spotlight. The world doesn't need more noise, it needs more presence. Walk with intention, live with depth, and leave behind a legacy that's not just seen, but deeply felt.